Welcome back to another episode, everybody. We're off and running and filming and talking about life, liberty, and justice to be brought down by nothing and stand in the way of nothing. And our goals and our dreams of life will always be accomplished. Nothing will get in our way. But yeah, welcome back, guys, to another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to this 55, the great 55 episode of the Michael Lab Show. Man, we are just moving along. Taking it day by day, enjoying it. Every day we wake up, life is good. But yeah, so I mean, this past week has been a successful week. I've gotten a lot done. I have started personal training, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm very much enjoying it. I love putting together programs. I love training people. I love helping people gain a sense of confidence, and if it's through the avenue, if the gym can help in any sense, and that's where I am, that's my field of study, then I'm very satisfied with that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good, successful week, and I'm excited to just sit down and talk to you guys about things that are on my head, things that have been going through my head lately. If you guys see me ever writing in my notebook, I'm just writing down. I'm taking like notes and cliff notes of things that I'm thinking at the moment, or it allows me to put into the description later when I go ahead and make a podcast description for YouTube and for the YouTube. And also, give me 1 second. I'm going to stay live. I just want to see if the camera is jacked up a little bit. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. We're 55 episodes in and still like a freaking amateur up in here. But yeah, the camera looked like it was at a weird angle. You guys might notice the difference, but I think it was at a weird angle, so it was kind of like pointing down at me, which I didn't like. I like it pointing straight at me. But Jesus Christ, dude, doing a podcast it feels like the most narcissistic thing in the world. Like, there's not many avenues you take in life where you can actually make money and actually reach a number of people where all you do is just talk with nobody else around. And the more and more I do it and the more episodes I do, I mean, we're 55 episodes in now. It's just more mind-blowing how there's a continued base out there. It's constantly growing. People are always tuning in, new people that I don't know, family, friends, which is always unique. But more unique than that is people that I don't even know out there listening to the podcast. And that is something that is mesmerizing to me, and it's incredible. But the more I look at it, so ever since I was a child, man, I mean, ever since I was young, I wouldn't say I've always been the center of attention. I never grew up that way. I never wanted the attention. But I always did things that were unique, or things that I think people would do, but the one reason they wouldn't do it is the possibility of being ridiculed by somebody else or a group of people, or just by society in general, or going against like norms that you're supposed to follow. That's one avenue I've never had that inclination. I've never had that fear of possibly being ridiculed by somebody else. And it starts all the way back from the first YouTube channel I ever made, where I was playing Call of Duty, which was a video game, a first-person shooter, when I was like 13 years old. And I was watching YouTube videos on it, and at school, everybody was talking about it. Like, it was like every time the weekend would go by, Monday or Tuesday would come around, and everybody at school was talking about playing video games, because this was at a time before phones were popular. This was really like this was at a time before phones were popular. And it was at the age where you were 13 and 12, 13, 14. And at this age, at least, what was that, 2008? Yeah, 2008 to 2000. 2009. Yeah. 2008 to 2010, maybe. Whatever. Where if you had a phone, it wasn't really your phone. Like, it was your phone in the sense that I guess it was on your body at times, but it was actually your parents' phone the whole time. Like, they decided when you could use it, when you couldn't use it, and the only time you could actually use it was when you're out in public. Other than that, your parents would never let you actually use a phone. So it was a time where after Friday got out, you couldn't really hang out with your friends unless you went out and hung out with them, which I did a lot of. But at the nighttime, it was also around a time where news was getting out quicker. So there's a lot more concerned parents about the safety for their children. Not really my parents so much because they are police officers. By the way, it's National, I think, Law Protection or Law Enforcement Agency Day. If you guys know anybody out there in the police force, first responders, I guess firefighters and paramedics and EMT, emergency medical technicians too. If you just want to give them a big thank you for what they do, sacrificing their life every day for the safety of others. Just remember, the only time the police are noticed is when police make mistakes, but the rest of the time they're not noticed because they're doing their fucking job. So just remember that when you're out there this Friday night coming up or this Thursday night and you're hanging out at the club or you're hanging out in a street in Annapolis or whatever your local city is, and you're not worried about anything, your safety is nice and is not concerning to you, it's not even in the back of your head. Just know the reason for that, the reason why you can do that, and the reason why you can party and have fun and make memories is because out there's somebody who is protecting your safety. And by doing that, they're putting their life on the line. And that person is a mom or a dad to children, a mom or dad to be, a son or daughter. And they're making the ultimate sacrifice, their life, to better you and allow you to live a more comfortable and safe life. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. My dog's barking, so I'm going to put on my right headphone. Makes me concentrate a little bit better. But like I was saying, so that's going to be annoying. I love it when she just barks. God, dude, this is like, I can't, why do people watch this? This is so ghetto, man. I'm like up here in the corner of my bedroom just talking to a mic with a stupid chicken next to me with cacti next to me. But like, there's people watching, so that's why we're 55 episodes deep. It's so crazy, man. It's so unreal. I remember the first time I made a podcast. It was 2018, I think, early 2018, maybe even 17. No, it was 2018. It was on Halloween. I think I was working, and I was coming back from wherever, or I was coming back from the gym, whatever it was. And at the time, a gentleman by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk was talking a lot about apps and like apps that he thought were going to blow up and apps that he really took an interest in and apps that he found to be, I'm going to put him right there. No, right here. Yeah, so like apps that he was finding very interesting. One of them was Anchor. And I remember listening to him talk about it, and I got enough out of it where I understood what Anchor was, and basically what it was a platform that would allow you to talk into your phone or your microphone or whatever it was, and you could upload it to podcast platforms. So you just talk in it like a speaker, like through a speaker on your phone. This is what I did, and then you just hit upload, and then you release it to, everywhere that podcasts are, that podcasts play on. And I remember I did this for about 6 months, and it was actually pretty big. Like, I think it may have gotten more listens audio because it was audio only than my than this podcast. I think it was called Michael Lab's Life and Experience, or Experiences and Moments, or something really like absurd like that. Which, Michael Lab's show is pretty absurd too. That's a ridiculous, selfish, sinful name. You should be ashamed of yourself, Michael. I should not talk third person. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I shouldn't do that, and I apologize. But yeah, so it was at a time where I had a lot going on, but I didn't feel like I was actually doing enough, which is a common characteristic characteristic trait of mine, but I didn't feel like I was doing enough. So I went ahead and downloaded this app, and on the way home from the gym or wherever I was going in Annapolis, I was heading home, and I was started to talking on my phone, and as I was talking on my phone, I created my first episode, and I think I went 35 episodes deep into it. In total, I'm about 100 episodes on podcasts where I filmed, or that at least I've uploaded to the public. But this podcast, I was releasing not every day, but like every other day, and it grew quickly. And I started to fall in love with it. I like because the way it worked was I would film all my podcasts as I was driving, in a safe way. So what I would do is I would go up to my girlfriend's place in Blacksburg at this time. And as I was going up there, something would pop in my head. And I was just, instead of letting it just sit up there and fizzle up in my head or make me feel a certain way, I would express it into words, kind of like a notebook, but instead of writing it out, listening to it out. And it started before that. I was doing this in the car, but I was just doing it with notes. I was just talking to my phone, and I would save it as an audio note, or in my note section as audio message. So I can just listen it back and hear it, really let it sink into my head. There's a lot that can happen when you do that. If you listen to yourself, the way you speak, just the sound of your voice can explain a lot about where your head is at that specific time. In addition to that, I also wanted to have a place where I can go back and just not relive, but rehash the feelings that was going on. So I was making notes for a while, and then this Anchor thing came along. So I just started uploading Anchor. And I mean, like the first 10 episodes, I think had like 300 listens, like combined. Then I got up to like 1,000, like 1,500 or something like that. And then I just kind of stopped. I just kind of stopped uploading to Anchor. And then like months went by, and then I started this podcast. Before this podcast, you can actually go back on this channel. You can go watch. I did something called Mike's Mind Ride for 3 months. I'm going to tell you a few key tips on starting a podcast. These are something that if you have never started one before, or if you are thinking about it and you're finding it very difficult and you can't really, there's not a lot of information out there, because the truth is there's not a lot of information out there on how to start a podcast. There is, but it doesn't tell you like the technical stuff. So I'm going to give you just a few priceless tips real quick to start a podcast. So I was running into an issue where I was doing vlogs, which are all up on the podcast, and or on the channel. You can go back and watch all this. But I was doing these vlogs, and these vlogs were they were fun. I was enjoying them a lot, and actually they did a lot better than I ever thought. I did like food challenges where I only ate vegetables for like 3 days straight, and then I only ate like fruit for like 2 days straight, or I only ate Big Macs for like 72 hours. And I did this to just kind of grow on the platform and to really just gain a following. It was because it was entertaining and it was fun to edit up the videos. And like I said, I've always done that. I've always done some type of I've always had a place where I put out content, whether it be from Call of Duty or whether it be from doing fitness vlogs, or whether it just be doing sit down talks or whatever it is. Instagram, I got like Instagram like the first month it was out, where Instagram used to not even be for content. What it was just a filter for Facebook. Like when Instagram first came out, 2013 or 14, or maybe before that, I'm not too sure by now. But what it was you downloaded it just to put a filter on. You would screen grab it, crop it out, and then you would post it on Facebook, because this was before you had like filters. Or like you had filters on your iPhone, but they were shitty filters and you didn't want to use those. You wanted the high quality filters. But yeah, so I've always kind of been into the YouTube world like that. So what I did was when I first started the podcast, when it was called Mike's Mind Ride, or Michael's Mind Ride, I wanted to do a podcast so bad, but I had no idea how to, and everything I saw on how to do it cost money, and I was waiting for my tax returns. Literally, I was waiting for my tax returns to buy like all this equipment that you see. Maybe not the lights. I've had these lights for a while, but the mic, the arm, the headset, the camera, the stand it's on. All this was like tax return money. Like all this was, I got it and I flipped 2,500 right into all this equipment. Like I wanted it that bad. I didn't like save it or anything, which probably should have done looking back at it now, but I didn't. But I was using a vlogging camera. And when I was using the vlogging camera, it was strange because it would stop after like 30 minutes. And I didn't know why. So I looked up on Google. Google's your best friend. It tells you pretty much everything. The only thing it doesn't tell you to do is like really which order to do it or what to do if this happens or if this doesn't happen. Kind of how to get yourself through that avenue. YouTube would be your best bet for that. So after 30 minutes, the camera would just shut off. And I was sitting right here, actually. I think I was sitting right here just with the chair and my back to the wall. I don't think I had any. Definitely didn't have the astronaut picture. I don't think I had the chimps. I don't think I had any of that. It was just me. Just me and a gray wall. Which is even more nuts to think about it. That's where it was, and this is where it is now, where I'm hanging out with my chicken friend. But it would stop after 30 minutes. So I was like, okay, well, let's just be done filming in 30 minutes, right? Because I can get enough of a topic out in 30 minutes. But then I was like, nah, I kind of want to go more than 30 minutes. I don't really just want to stop at 30 minutes. So I had a few options. I could hack into the, I think there's like something you can buy that you insert into the camera and it makes it go longer than 30 minutes. I was like, I could do that, but it's illegal because they want the camera, the vlogging cameras to stop after 30 minutes. And the reason they do that is because if you want to do a podcast, if you want to have a camera that records longer, they want you to use a camcorder, and a camcorder is specifically designed to film 30 minutes longer. And I believe, this is my thoughts on it, but I believe the purpose of that is to have two different products so they can make twice as much money. Because if you can get a 2-in-1 Sony little vlog camera, A6000 or A2000, I think that's what I had, you wouldn't have to buy a camcorder, which means they would lose out on money. So they have that law by, not the FDA, but one of the technology agencies, government agencies, where it would stop after 30 minutes. So if I went the first route and I hacked into my camera and I took it apart and I basically broke the law, I would have broke the law and I would have gotten in trouble for it. So obviously I decided not to do that. But the second option was to get a camcorder. Didn't know what a camcorder was, but what I did know is that they were like expensive as hell, like starting at $600. But I know I needed a camcorder, and I also wanted a microphone too. But I didn't know what to, because with the podcast, I didn't know how to do it. Like I didn't know even where to start. I didn't know what, if you needed a camera, the camera hooks up to the mic, and if the mic hooks up, what did both of those hook up to? And does it just record the audio, or do you need something to record the audio in the video at the same time? Is there like a split cord or something? And I probably still don't have the best way. But there was a friend of mine, and he helped me out a lot. And he recommended the Rode Podcaster, or Rode, I think it's called the Podcaster. And what it does is a little audio box, which I still use to this day, and it hasn't moved from where it is. It's a little dusty. But then, so you have this Rode Podcaster, which is an audio mixtape, and you move up and down, and you can record up to four microphones. You can put in 4 headphones. It's good quality, and it records your voice onto a little microchip. And I was like, okay, cool, I got the audio. Well, what about the video? So then the video part came in, and I think the Rode Podcaster itself was like $600, I want to say. And I think it came with a microphone and a headset, I'm pretty sure. If you just type in Rode Podcaster, you can find the bundle package. But then I needed a camera, and I didn't want the camera I had for the vlog because it wasn't designed for vlogging. So I had to get a camcorder, which could record. I think this thing can go up to like 5 hours straight on the memory card I have. But I knew I didn't want something shitty. You know, I want something good. I wanted a nice little camera. So I looked up a bunch of camcorders, asked a few friends of mine, and I discovered this one. I don't know, just Sony handyman camcorder, I believe. And it was like $899 at Best Buy. I was like, damn, dude, that's just ridiculous. And you got to remember, I'm buying it at a time where I don't even know how to set up a podcast. I don't have a place to podcast. I don't know where I'm going to podcast. I didn't know if it's going to be the basement, the guest room, my room, the bathroom. Like, I had no idea. But once again, I knew I wanted to do it. And that's what got me to this point, is I knew I just wanted to do it. And that's all I really cared about, was wanting to do it. And I also genuinely thought I had something to say that could help people if they listen to the podcast, or make them feel welcome, or make them feel accepted, I wanted people who could listen to this podcast and afterwards feel better about their life, feel better about the people in their life, and genuinely feel stronger and more capable of pursuing happiness in this world. So those feelings I had overrode, honestly, like the logic I had. Like, I didn't have any logic. I didn't know where I was going to put it. Like, if I told anybody, if I wrote up a business plan, but I didn't tell you what the business was, but I wrote up a business plan, that's what I had. I mean, that's actually what I had. So I bought the camcorder eventually, and I, for the first like 2 episodes, the audio was from the camera because I couldn't sync up the mic. But I had to get something out. I just really wanted to get something out. So I did. And then it got to a point where it was getting really frustrating because I couldn't sync the audio up with the camera, with the video. And that was annoying, which was fine for audio platform, because for audio platform, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Libsyn, I didn't need the video. I just needed the audio. So that wasn't an issue. But, you know, when you're watching a TV show and the mouth and the audio, or the voice in the mouth, isn't lined up, that's how it was. I could not fix that because the camera records, I think, in 60 frames per second. But after like 30 minutes, it starts to drop like 0.001. So by the end of my clip, it was like 59.44 frames per second, or no, 59.94 frames per second. But my audio stays at 60 frames per second the whole way. So after like 30 minutes into the podcast, it just became unsynced, and I could not line it up. I couldn't delete it at a certain point, cut it, and paste it a certain way. And it was one of those things where I had a product and I had everything I needed, but I just needed that one extra thing. And the software I was using was iMovie, which I use now just for audio. But I could not figure it out, and it was driving me out of my mind. So what I ended up doing was Googling how to do it, and one of my friends helped me out. And what I did was I got Final Cut Pro. And I remember I went to the local community college up here because I didn't want to buy Final Cut Pro. I mean, mind you, I'm a broke college kid, and this thing is like $199.99. So it's a $200 software. But I had a student discount, so it was $149.99, I believe. And my numbers could be all completely wrong because I just buy things without really looking at the price because I know I need it. So the price isn't going to affect me buying it or not. Like, if I need it and I want it, I'm going to end up buying it. So that's kind of how it was with this thing. But I remember I went to the school and I couldn't, there was something going on where I couldn't like transfer the file somewhere. It was like too much of a file size. But I couldn't edit on my Mac because I didn't have Final Cut Pro, and it was expensive, and it came with it came with Adobe, which was for Windows, not Mac. I think that's what it was. I forget what it was, but I couldn't transfer it somewhere. Whatever. But I was, mind you, I was willing to deal with that. I was willing to deal with having to go all the way up to my Anne Arundel Community College and sit down in the library, 3 days a week just to edit up a podcast. Like, I was totally fine with that. In my head, I was rationalizing, there's a coffee place up there. I can hang out with my girlfriend while it's editing, blah, blah, blah. She can come up. We can read books together. So I'm in my head, I'm making it all feel okay and feel comfortable and totally fine with it, even though it's crazy town if I had to do that. So I had him just lining it up, and we had like a 3-step process for a long time. And then I finally broke down. I got like a paycheck, and I bought Adobe Final Cut Pro, and long and behold, because it has a software in it that can line up both the clips, because you get an audio and a video clip. I don't know if I mentioned that, but you get an audio and a video clip, and you got to line them up together. You got to turn down the video clip and make the audio sound better. So I did that. I eventually bought it, and it synchronizes with the clips. But after I even bought it, it wasn't synchronizing them up correctly. So I was really angry. And I looked into it, and there was another software that can synchronize them perfectly, like the ones that like all the podcasters use, like Joe Rogan, Andrew Santino, Theo Vaughn, not Mark Maron, but anybody who has a video podcast. The Portal with Eric Weinstein, Dogs Barking Again. I love it when she does that. They use that to line up all their podcasts. So I was like, damn, I should have just saved. But that's like $500. But it does it perfectly, and it honestly saves like an hour of time, which is totally worth it when you're doing a podcast, because editing is the worst and hardest, most annoying part. The podcast is easy and it's fun, especially if you like talking. God, this just sounds so narcissistic, though. But I might be a little bit. We all might be a little bit. Anyways, so I get the podcast, and I get Final Cut Pro, and it synchronized it up, but that software was like $500, so I was like, damn, I should have just waited and went ahead and bought it, but I didn't. I ended up getting Final Cut Pro, and now we're here doing it, but it's fine because I've gotten to the point now where I can edit it up super quickly. You synchronize it, you just clip a few times, save, process it, save it to a video file, and you upload it. I don't know what I was talking about, but that's kind of how I started the podcast, and that's kind of how we got to episode 55. And then another weird thing happened with the podcast is I started to read a lot, like as the podcast was going, which was so nice because it allowed me to have more material to talk about for the episodes, which was super neat. And it really explored my mind a lot and expanded my mind. And I think that's one of the secrets. If you're going to do a long form podcast, if you're going to talk for a while to a camera, you got to be able to not get bored. And you also got to be able to challenge your own thought process. Like, for example, let's just talk about the thing in Iran right now, the missiles that were launched in Iran, and how we took out the general there, who apparently he was like, he was very high ranking. And the way they make it sound like is he was a very respected man in the military, maybe not liked by all, but still respected. And I think in my head, this is how I rationalize it. And I don't know if this lady's as respected as he was, but when people don't understand who he was, I always try to make the comparison. Like, what if Iran took out fill in the blank, and then maybe they would understand the points of this guy. I always think of it as like, it's our equivalent of Nancy Pelosi. Like, she's high up there. She's like a Secretary of State. She may not be respected by everybody, but she gets shit done. And she's popular enough. But if you took her out, though, even if you didn't like her, you'd be like, damn, you took out our Secretary of State. Like, come on. What are you doing? Don't do that. But Iran is an example. You know, the way that they took missiles out of bases in Iraq that had U.S. soldiers. They attacked the U.S. Air base in that African country. They attacked a bunch of, I think it was Britain's boats out in the ocean or the Gulf, which is our allies, or it was our boats. I'm not too sure. And just, pulling out of the nuclear deal and always threatening our people and our country. And then Donald Trump took action to take him out. They dropped a drone strike on him. But it's one of those things where I find it so beautiful that I started to pick up on reading as an outlet to expand my thought process on many things. So when events like this happen, I can talk about it on the podcast. Like, how do I feel about it now? Well, if I never read, I would have been like, yeah, go to war, kill them all. Honestly, that's probably where I would have leaned to. But now it's not that rash, Now I will put more thought into it. Like, do we really want that? Like, do we really want to go straight to war? Like, is that what anybody wants? Does anybody want war? No. Does anybody like when anybody in your family dies? Absolutely not. You hate it. You're sad. It disgusts you. Do you want to have to live in fear every day? No, you don't want to do that. So do you want to go to war? Probably not. I would say I don't want to go to war. Do I want to feel protected and safe? Absolutely. What's the best avenue to do that? And now there's a debate going on in my head where I can argue each side. And I attribute a lot of that to reading, to be able to take other points of views and agree or disagree, but not removing them, right? That's really important. Now, there's some that are a little bit questionable. Like, I actually know a set of flat earthers now. Like, I personally know them. Haven't talked to them about it, but the flat earthers. Now, stuff like that, you don't argue with that because it's so silly. You can't argue with that. But some things like, should Trump be president again? There's an argument now, and I contribute that so much to expanding in your abilities to think and developing tools that allow you to articulate your viewpoints on a much broader scale in a less attackful mode on other people's opinions. Because I think so many people do that it's really interesting. If you go to a bar, if you listen to anyone talk and they get into a debate about politics or education or finances or taxes, what you hear, it always starts like this. The conversation always starts, this is my viewpoint, this is your viewpoint. Okay? And where it should take a turn to understand the other person's viewpoint while still expressing your viewpoint, it takes so you can understand both sides of the party, right? That's what you eventually want. That's what I want. I want to understand the other person's viewpoint. I think by not being able to articulate your thoughts, which I believe that reading books allow you to do that, educating yourself allows you to do that better. What happens is, if you take a pro-Trumper or someone who doesn't like Trump, instead of finding not even middle ground, but instead of trying to relate and understand the other person's viewpoint, you start firing missiles, no pun intended. Sorry, I just had to say that. You start firing missiles at the other side. So now you have two parties that have some middle ground, but it takes a little bit of work to find it, to figure it out. Where does it exist? Where can we agree? And where can we agree to disagree? And where can we just disagree? Instead of doing that, we just start firing missiles at each other because we're so incompetent to express our opinion on a subject that we run to fear, and we start shooting the other person's opinion down while neglecting that some of our thought process is false, right? It's the bias theory. It's that you're too smart or you're too deep into your own conspiracy or philosophy to start actually seeing the other side's philosophy, which will allow you to, if it's wrong or if it's right, it will allow you to better your philosophy on something. And it will allow you to understand the other side's party better. And guess what happens when you understand somebody? Or at least there's a reason why somebody acts the way they do, or they say what they say. You are able to be more emotionally available for other people because you're not as angry. Like, you ever watch people have a conversation and they get so mad at the other person and they get so heated and they just go in such a tirade and they get so mad at the other person that after the conversation is over and both people are mad during the conversation, one party is still angry and the other one is not. That affects the party that is still angry. Their whole day is affected by something that's not even an issue anymore between the two original people. So if you could sit there and I had someone come to me at work and say something about, like, our CNN TV wasn't working, and they said, can you please turn on CNN? I was like, I wish I could, but the TV's down right now, it's not working. And their response is, that's okay, that's fine, I understand. Their response is, well, can you turn off that goddamn garbage on Fox? It's like, what? You're sitting there and you're like, wait a second here. Turn off the Fox and change to CNN. But what if I do that and somebody wanted Fox on, And what is that accomplishing? Like the anger, what is that accomplishing? And why is that BS? And what if I enjoy Fox and you say that? Are you trying to like hurt the other person? Like there's stuff like that that's just so, and that could, a well-read person could say that, but it's confusing, right? Because you wouldn't say that if it didn't involve politics, if it didn't involve it, you would only say that if it did involve politics, or if it did involve a heated debate, like an Iran debate, or a North Korea debate, or a gay right debate, or a religious debate. And then with all these debates, it even gets more confusing, because where there's opinions, there's facts. And I harp on this all the time. The accusations that go on in a lot of religious groups. that go on a lot of religious groups. And I say it because it's the truth, particularly, and it's evil, particularly the Catholic faith, the Catholic Church, the Vatican, and they're consistently getting in trouble from having. I mean, I can look up on my phone right now. They're consistently getting in trouble by having priests that are molesting kids, or having cardinals that are attacking kids, that are hurting kids, that are ruining innocent futures of young people. So where there's opinions, there's also truth. And if those truths cannot be accepted and are not portrayed as fact, even though they are absolute fact, then we can't get anywhere. We cannot get anywhere. The fact of the matter is, Iran is a dangerous place. The fact of the matter is, there's Iranian people who are good people. The fact of the matter is that since there's good Iranians, you don't want to just go to war and just start killing, right? And you don't like it when people die. So there's it's always so interesting to me, because where there's an argument, there's a factual statement that if we can all just take our flags, whatever side you're on, then you should have to, sorry, just reading something. Yeah, you should have to put your flag in the truth and then spread off and start debating about your own opinions, because that makes room for progression in your mind. It's really hard to argue about things that are not based on truth, but at least that makes sense because there's opinions that are formed. But arguing about things that are factual information that can be debated, or that cannot be debated but are debated, it's hilarious that it happens. Like things like the world is flat. You can't argue with that because you're not going to make progress. What you're going to do is you're angering people. And what you're doing for somebody who is going to argue that, in a way, you're mocking the other person. Like, you should feel for them, right? That's my opinion. I don't know. But, yeah, man, Iran's an interesting one. That's one of the ones where you're like, damn. It's so crazy because it's like, apparently the guy that we killed mocked Donald Trump on Twitter, like months back. I got this book up here called Permanent Record by Mr. Edward Snowden, who's on lockdown in Russia. But he was a great dude who broke all the record on the U.S. government taking all the information from cell phones from U.S. citizens. It's going to be a cool book to read. I have so many good books. I have Tyrannical Minds, which goes inside the minds of I haven't read any of these up here. I'm currently reading a book called The Intelligence Trap, Why Smart People Make Dumb Mistakes. Really good book. A lot of things I was talking about in this podcast actually was about that. But I had Tyrannical Minds, which gets in the mind of Adolf Hitler, Fidel Castro, Mussolini, and why they did what they did, and the upbringing that might have provoked them to alter the personalities into that evil leader mentality that they had to cause so much chaos in the world. How the Brain Lost His Mind. I don't really know exactly what that one's about. These next three are the ones I'm most excited for. Permanent Record, Edward Snowden, who's an AACC alumni, where I went to school. So I went to school with one of the greatest hackers of all time. Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. who has a PhD in Base of the Science of Sleep, and I've been wanting to read his book for months, maybe not years, when he first came on Joe Rogan. Couldn't find the book. They didn't have it in the bookstores, which really made me mad. But that's gonna be the one of the next books I read. I'm gonna save the best one for last. Naomi Klein, which is about like logo. I think it's like anti-capitalism, which I'm excited for. Into the Wild, To Kill a Little Mockingbird. Never read it. Should have. I did a project on in high school, but didn't read it. I just cheated on it. Not cheated on it, but I looked up the summary and everything online. Water for Elephants, which I saw the movie with Robert De Niro. No. Who's Iron Man? Oh my God. Robert Downey Jr., who's actually going to be on Joe Rogan's podcast, who's already been on it, but it will be released, I think, next week. At the same time my podcast is out. Exciting stuff. Ape House, which I'm excited for. Brain on Fire, which is a cool one. And then Animal Farm, which is by George Orwell. Another book I should have read in high school, but I didn't read. But I think that might be a banned book. Not that it matters. All the best books are banned. So there's 2 books. Animal Farm, To Kill a Mockingbird, I'm going to read. But Lifespan by David Sinclair, who has a PhD. He's a he's a lead geneticist at Harvard University, and he talks about techniques on how to live longer. But yeah, all those books are super excited to read. But 2:27, I gotta do a bunch of homework for my winter class and then get going to work. But so I'm gonna end the podcast here, guys. So if you guys enjoy the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe. This was episode 55. I'm sure I'll catch everybody in the next episode, which will be episode 56. I did get a checkup on my elbow, which I don't think I've told you guys about, but I have like this big bump on it, and apparently it's a benign tumor, so I got to go get an ultrasound to get it checked out, and it's probably going to get removed if it's bad, but if it's not bad, then I'll keep it in, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I got to get an ultrasound for that, but that's what the big bump is. I don't have one on my left arm, just my right arm, but I got to tell my girlfriend right now because I just told the podcast first. But yeah, I got to go there soon, but I'll give you guys an update on that. But this has been episode 55. If you guys enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe. If you guys didn't, that's fine. But please leave it a rating on iTunes. That helps me so much. 5-star rating, if you don't mind. Catch you guys in episode 56. This is episode 55. Peace out. See ya. See you guys later.